Hello everyone and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4, and today we're going to be playing on Avalanche version 1.12.12, the open beta. As you probably saw by the title of the video, this is going to be an achievement video. But what is the inspiration for doing said achievement? So it is in here, in this war effort for Operation Cockpit with the open beta now available, that we see what is the key change, and the key change is mostly regarding Canada. Canada's mutually exclusive focuses, National Steel Car and Send in the Zombies, are no longer mutually exclusive. That means that Canada can both field a decently sized army and have a decent sized economy to keep that army going. In addition to that, they also have the ability to get an extra bonus for their communist branch, which was a little bit lacking before, so we can take a look at that. As an aside, that won't be too relevant to this particular video, but is so good that I have to bring it up anyway. Turkey will no longer be able to ask for investment to a country until the country has accepted the portfolio. So effectively, hopefully there won't be as much event spam from Turkey. That being said, I think it's time for a decent war with America because it's 1812 all over again. So we find ourselves in the wonderful land of Canada. Very cold, and the achievement we're going for is going to be pretty straightforward in what it wants us to do. As Canada, take and hold Washington DC, controls Maryland. So I think that's going to be the baseline of what we have to achieve today. That being said though, I do feel there is a greater prize, and that's simply capitulating the entire United States. I mean sure, getting Washington DC is the challenge, but I think getting the entirety of it is really why we're here. And with that being said, let's also take a look at this semi-new focus tree, and my goodness, the lack of arrow between these two focuses is certainly looking mighty good. We can also see the communist branch has seen some uplift with the focuses to demand Labrador and Newfoundland is also accessible through the communist branch by going down the Trotskys and introspective communism. You can now reach it over here. In addition, there's also this focus which allows you to, if the Great Depression has been removed, a different bonus will be applied, which I believe is going to be a temporary construction boost. So if you want to build up like a ton of factories after you take this focus, or vice versa the other one, then this is pretty good. Although I must be honest, I don't think I'm going communist today. I think we're going down the this particular club. Playing as Canada, it's pretty apparent that there really is just no manpower. Like the army you field at the start is basically all you have. So I think the Canada changes were very much so long overdue. Okay, with patriation done, we now move on to our certain club, which actually gives us like a pretty decent amount of support for Old Fash here. I mean, it's also doing the -10, which is also going to help us. With the focus complete and lots of political power saved up, we're going to move straight into getting our Chuck crate. Okay, we're going to get ourselves a decent Chuck crate going on, as well as trying to get enough political power to begin the decisions to start a civil war. Prepare for civil war. A part of me is wondering if I should give refuge to some German and Italian scientists, but my goodness, the political power cost is just so high. I'm not actually sure that research is going to help us too much in this run. It's more so going to be about speed. In kind of a cheeky move, I think I can actually cheat out getting close to below 50. If we do anti-fash raids, that immediately gets us down to here. And then we should be able to ignite the civil war almost immediately after. Yep, we definitely can. And the spooky bottom-lit Adrian Arcand has arrived. Goodness knows why the light is so below him, he literally looks like a cartoon villain. So usually I will make an effort to delete my troops and kind of cheese the civil war, but in this very rare circumstance, I'm actually in no rush to end the war, because in the Canadian focus tree, there are a few focuses, such as war bonds and commit to the war, that require you to be at war. So I'm kind of going to exploit that by remaining in a war for quite some time. Now that we can get war bonds though, there is the other issue that Defence of Canada regulations requires more than 20% world tension. Luckily, we're now an ideology that allows us to generate tension, so I guess we'll do exactly that. Well, we've basically broken through in Canada now, so I'm not too concerned about the rest of the outcome of this war. We got Winnipeg, and they're kind of encircled, and the rest are just going to attrition in the north. Hopefully we can get some units out, and this should be done. I don't actually need to complete this justification on the United Kingdom. It's not really part of the plan, so I'm actually just going to cancel the justification now that I've got the world tension nice and high. So with the top 4 focuses done in this pretty nice 1937, the plan now is to move all the way down to commit to the war, and then start working on our Synergist Baja, Mexico. Partial mobilization. We have an errant horse running wild in the east, by the way. Just thought I'd bring that up. Okay, as we begin to descend on Vancouver, we might literally just have to slow the conflict down because we're going a little bit too fast. It's just occurred to me that we've actually reached 5 factories, which is the all-important number we need to make a legendary spy agency. I think that's a pretty good name for what we have going on here. Beautiful. Of course, a spy agency is only as good as having 2 agents, so I'm afraid we're going to have to continue to stall our industry while we get 2 agents available. With Canada's wheat board done, we now just have to commit to the war. Once this focus is complete, we are officially going to do everything we can to get to Vancouver and end this war for good. A cheeky encirclement just before the end of the war should do us quite nicely. Some of you may be wondering why earlier I decided to cancel the justification on the United Kingdom, because it's a claim war. I could have kept the claim. The real issue is if world tension reaches 50%, then the Dominion of Canada can call in Britain, and that is something I am trying to avoid. So I think around this place is where it should have ended, and I'm hoping we're not at war with the UK. Wait, we got a modern Verdun. Have a battle continue without interruption. Oh, was it this one? We did have a battle go on this little peninsula for quite some time. Commit to the war is done, and with commit to the war done, it means for starters we can get limited conscription, which means perhaps the big 0 that's haunting over me can be put to an end, but more importantly, we can take Vancouver and end this war. Right, let's get to work on Mexico. Support the blue shirts also gives us some recruitable power, so we're really adding it up. You know, it's just occurred to me that with all of the collapsible focus trees there are in the game, there isn't one for Canada. This is outrageous. How on earth is this allowed to stand? Where's my collapsible focus tree? Support a Synergist Baja. I assume it's called Baja and not Baja. I think that would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? For the first time, we actually have a decent stream of manpower coming in, so I think we're going to start spamming a lot of cavalry. We now have 2 agents, which means we need to start building up in Mexico so that we can turn them fash. Now that we've completed the main 2 branches we needed to get done, I think it's time we do something that has never been done before. We're going to go in with Send in the Zombies, and we're going to start building up an industry. I am so happy about this information. So, for those who didn't know, when it comes to declaring a war on the US, your best option is going to be swarm tactics. They do have a finite amount of units, really not very many, and their border is pretty big. It's going to be especially big once we involve Mexico in the war, and then they're really going to be struggling. Once this network strength reaches 75%, I'm going to stick 2 of the units off and they're going to start boosting fash ideology inside Mexico. Unless of course our units start to get captured. I really want to go down for National Steel Car, but I need the mills way more than I need the civs, so I think I'm going to have to do a detour down and get a Victory Aircraft Limited. Okay, with these lads done, and by these lads I mean the lads I'm currently training, that should be my entire front. We've got 48 units defending the mainland, kind of the central front over there. We're going to have a nice 12 units going for Detroit, 12 going for Buffalo, and then our best units, the ones that have actually seen combat, holding Ottawa and basically playing defensive. Whenever getting commanders, make sure you pick up things like theatre training so that you always get some better commanders than what you might have otherwise got. Just a casual 22,000 in depth to guns. It's nothing, it's no big deal, it's no problem. What is interesting, however, is a civil war in Mexico. That's exactly the kind of thing we're interested in seeing. Due to our focus, we should be able to send over some volunteers. Yes, 4 of them. Get these lads down to Mexico City immediately. There's a war to be won, and the junta can't do it alone. They're just pushing through. No problem at all. I think Mexico City's open. Let's just walk straight in. Oh, they beat us to it. Maybe even get an encirclement? Oh wait, Mexico agrees to join our thing. Alright, fair enough. Wait, do my eyes betray me? Is that we're in the positive for manpower and we're fielding a decent sized army? With that kind of good news, I think it's time we do defense scheme number 1, which, kind of importantly, lets us get a war goal on America. On the side, let's see if we can't find ourselves getting a decent enough spy network up to maybe do some collaboration. Oh, and Mexico won their civil war. Well done. Defense scheme number 1 is complete. I'm not sure how ready we are, but I guess we're going to find out. Let's see if we can't burn down that White House. I think for the start of this, I'm going to bring it down to 4 speed and do quite a lot of microwing as best as I can. We're going to have basically no air force, so not too much we can do about that, I'm afraid. Okay, a decent amount of greens actually, and they somehow have left the complete west coast open. If we can take Buffalo, that is going to be a huge boon to us. I'm putting a lot of faith in these 12 horses. If not, there's always Detroit. Yeah, we do have a pretty open, very far west for some reason. So I'm basically just going to take advantage of that. I have no idea why that's the case. I guess they just can't field enough units. Alright, 1 encirclement done and we've only just started. That's what I like to see. Who do you think is going to break first, Detroit or Buffalo? The bets are still out because these lads have no supply here whatsoever. At least in Buffalo they can keep pushing. Nope, I guess we have the answer. Detroit fell first. Considering this is the one that's now open, I think these 24 units are going to find themselves pushing through Detroit as their main line. The far west continues to absolutely collapse as they're about to start entering Nevada, and I haven't even made decent pushes in the east yet. I am a little concerned that if we don't do this properly, we might end up having to fight them in Washington DC. I think I'm happy to say that this line is now big enough for us to get an actual army down here, and this is probably the army that's going to be heading for Washington DC. Go, my pretties. Buffalo has fallen. Oh yeah, it's starting. It's definitely starting now. The collapse has begun. One particular horse is now getting mighty close to Washington. Very dangerously close indeed. The United States is getting very close to capitulation. Nice, 69%. Very close to capitulation. We've taken a lot of the East Coast cities, and now we're just a few tiles away from Washington DC. Maybe this particular, the 15th District Militia, can find themselves getting there. I think it's becoming all hands on deck. We need to close in on that capital. My goodness, they zoomed a tank in there last second. Oh, they're really trying to bulwark Washington DC, I think. How did this guy get to New Orleans? It's funny because in my memory, I remembered this achievement involving like trying to get air supremacy and trying to maybe paradrop on them or something, but nope. We're just going to capitulate them. Baltimore appears to be open. Maybe they've had some mix-up in communications, because if that's the case, Washington DC might be open, and that's going to be GG. That looks like an open Washington DC to me. Oh yep, it's 1812 all over again. We did it. We got them. Is that also going to be a capitulation? Not quite, 97%, but my goodness, we're basically there. Right, let's see about finishing this war. And that should be a capitulation. Alright, so how should we do this? I think I'm taking Alaska, because obviously. Also, while we're here, we might as well take a little bit of old school America. After that, it's probably not worth taking anything else because the I don't really want to have to garrison everything. Alright, let's see what this very weird peace deal looks like. We took 8 states, we got a Philippines, we got a Protectorate of America and Hawaiian Empire. And I also demilitarized the border with them, so they won't be coming after us anytime soon. Okay, with that, I think I'm going to basically wrap the video up here, but considering the changes that came with the patch, I don't think it would be fair if I didn't at least go take the National Steel Car and fix the economy, while also fixing our manpower situation. I was simply faster than the focus tree allowed. So I'll see you as I do those focuses. World War II begins. I think they're a little bit late on that one. National Steel Car, a focus we can take despite having done send in the zombies. Hurrah hurrah. In the interest of trying something different, should we see if the Axis needs any help? With National Steel Car done, that should be a decent chunk to our industry, although it's pretty big already, and finally we can get rid of the Great Depression. Okay, a quick naval invasion into Vichy France should do us okay. No need to call anybody in, I think we can manage most of this by ourselves, right? And they all fall down. And rest in peace, Vichy France. Okay, looking better, looking better. Well, if that isn't ready to go, I don't know what is. Well, I'm seeing some naval invasions, so that's always a good sign. I think a lot of their navy is probably in the Mediterranean. Well, we just took Portsmouth, but since we've got it, it's time to spread like wildfire. And that, I'm afraid, is that. Something tells me I'm not going to be able to claim much in the end of this, but if we can get a few puppets, we might be able to start cheesing some things. Unfortunately, we weren't able to steal too much war score in the Treaty of London. We ended up with a very peculiar looking puppet called the Canadian Protectorate of Britain that owns France for some reason. We managed to get ourselves a small Liberian puppet, because who doesn't want a little Liberia? And I think my most disgusting but prized possession has to be the Canadian Raj, the centre point of manpower and hope in a new world. Unfortunately, getting anything else was practically impossible because, yeah, it's too much of an endgame for that. But with that, I still think this is an absolute success. I think we did everything we hoped to achieve, and with that, I'll say thank you very much for watching. Canada is very, very strong these days. Still, it was possible to do this prior, but it's much easier to do it now. If you liked, feel free to like, feel free to subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye.